Caring for infants can be both rewarding and challenging. The high needs of infants, responding to multiple infants in a program, and working with families can all be challenging aspects. Infants typically enter care around 3 months of age and have already established strong bonds with their parents, and they have little personalities too. They have preferences for routines and ways of being fed and handled. Parents also have their preferences for how they want their infant to be cared for. These preferences may come from how they were raised, maybe their family input, or reading about infant care. Their pediatrician may have influenced them, and their cultural practices. Getting to know each other in a program is like a dance with 3 people: you, the infant, and their parents. NAEYC has recommendations for developmentally appropriate practices for infants. The first is the relationship between the caregiver or teacher and the child. This relationship must be built on trust, and to do so, infants should have a primary caregiver or teacher that knows the child and family very well, rather than being shifted from whoever is available to handle the child. Building trust with the child and family means those transitions from parent to teacher are warm, friendly, and reassuring. Interactions with infants should include lots of touching, talking, and eye contact. Teachers should learn and watch for infants' cues and respond consistently to their needs. Crying should be seen as a form of communication, not an irritation. Even infants have interests in their peers. Allowing babies to touch and be near each other with supervision to ensure their safety is recommended. It seems silly to even think that one might not treat an infant as a person, but lack of respect for an infant's individuality may come across in ways such as disgust at their bodily functions, or moving a child from one place to another like you would an object, or sticking to a very rigid schedule that's more out of the teacher's convenience than what the child needs. Communication with infants should be intentional, responding to their body language, observing and listening to their vocalizations, and repeating those back to them, as well as singing and reading to them. Creating an appropriate environment for infants to grow and learn is another important component of DAP. We'll discuss that at length next week. Teachers should also encourage infants to gain skills according to their own pace, providing opportunities for them to practice new skills, not doing too much, or pushing them beyond their readiness. Exploration and play should be encouraged, and teachers should think about their actions with infants. For example, sometimes toys are dangled in front of the infants and then whisked away. Or teachers may even play with the toy themselves while talking to a coworker, kind of distracted. Teachers should observe what the baby is doing or focusing on, comment on it, and provide an opportunity for exploration, always being sensitive to the infant's responses. Playing games at appropriate times when the infant shows interest and is ready. We can observe their cues by watching their facial expressions and body movements to see if they want to continue the game. Routines should also be developmentally appropriate. Routines are an important opportunity to provide one-on-one care, language stimulation, and bonding. Teachers should explain the process of the routine to infants. For example, when changing diapers or changing clothes, describing what you're doing and what is going to happen next. Infants should always be held when feeding a bottle, never propped up and left to drink a bottle in a crib. Providing a quiet place to nurse and a safe and sanitary place to keep breast milk should support breastfeeding mothers. In the U.S., we value children learning independence and skills such as toileting and feeding, but being respectful of the family's culture is important. Sleeping is another time of bonding with the primary teacher who knows their special going to sleep routines. DAP includes forming reciprocal relationships with families. Communication is key to forming good relationships with families. This should happen often and in multiple ways, such as phone conversations, emails, notes home, arrival and departure times. The goal is to gain mutual trust and respect, providing the parents with vignettes of their child's day and commenting on how strong a relationship the parent has with the child. These things will alleviate some anxiety they have about leaving their children. Listening to parents' preferences and seeking to understand their goals for their child are also important, always keeping in mind their expertise and attachment to their infant. When differences arise, teachers seek to understand and validate the parent's perspective, while also using a team approach to maintaining the highest standards. For example, a parent may have a strong opinion about letting a child cry it out. Being able to talk about this openly and come to an understanding will take skill, patience, and teamwork. So exit Part B now of the lecture and watch the video on respectful infant care.